Welcome to this project, and this project is going to be a really interesting project. So we're going to build a quotes app, but the specialty of this app is I'm going to get all the quotes from our website. So I'm going to implement web scraping with Flutter. So for till now we only used APIs, right? So this time we're going to get the data from a website through web scraping. I'm going to just scrap the whole data from a website called quotes.toscrap.com, and with a HTTP package. I just need one package for this. It's going to be really interesting build. So let me just show you the demonstration. Here I have 4 categories. So if I want to have love quotes, I can click on this love category. There you go. I have all the love quotes with the author and the quote and the author. And if I want, for example, inspirational quotes, I can click on this. So there you go. I'm scrapping all the data from our website. There you go. I have the quotes and the author, and here we have some general quotes. These are just some general quotes. And again, yeah, we have just life and humor. So there isn't much to say about this app. It's just a banger project because I think I didn't see many people implementing web scraping with Flutter. That's why I just decided to build this app. Let me just show you the website. There you go, the quotes.toscrap.com, because the HTML tags and the CSS tags are really easy for this website. That's why I really love this website. It's intentionally made for scrapping, so that's why this website is really perfect for beginners. And yeah, after building this app, I hope you'll be able to scrap other websites also with Flutter. So yeah, let's actually go and code this application. So okay guys, I created a new folder named quotes app, and let's directly jump into the public.yaml file and get some packages. So I got 3 packages. The first package is going to be Google Fonts package to just use any font I want. And the second package is going to be really important. So this package, this HTML package, is going to enable us to scrap the data from a website. So with this package, we're actually going to scrap the data. And the HTTP package is we're just gonna use it to make a request to that website and get some response back. And with that response, we're gonna use the HTML package again and scrap the data. So after getting all the packages, let's go to the lib folder. Let's go to main.dart and do some cleanup. So we don't want this example app, right? So I'm gonna just delete some things. I'm gonna just close the material app. And in the material app, I'm going to have a home. So the home is going to be just home page, where we'll have like 4 buttons where the user can go. I'll just show it to you in a while. So first of all, we're just going to build the UI, and then we'll go into the web scraping. And okay, home is home page, and let's also disable this debug banner. So I'll say debug show check mode banner is false. And now we have to create this widget. So let's create a new file named home.dart. And then let's import Flutter. Let's create a stateful widget with the STFL keyword and then home page. Let's import that package here, that file here, actually not a package. Perfect. Let's go to home.dart and let's actually build out our UI. Let's actually save everything and see what we get. There you go. I have an empty container, that's why it's black. And let's actually return a scaffold so that we can give some app bars, and let's actually build out the whole UI. So in the scaffold, I'm going to have a body. So I'm going to have a grid view with 4 buttons with 4 categories. So let me just show you the website where we're going to scrap it. So the website name is quotes.toscrap.com, and in there we're going to actually scrap the quotes for the home page. So this is for the home page, and in there we also have categories. For example, if we want love quotes, we'll just go to this URL. So this URL is also going to be really important. So if we want to have love quotes, we're just going to go to quotes.toscrap.com/tag and then /love. If we want inspirational quotes, we'll go to this URL. If we want life quotes, we're going to go to this URL. So pretty much we're going to have 4 categories in our app. So we're going to have love, inspiration, life, and humor. Of course, you can just use any categories you want. Just feel free to use your own categories. And let's actually go to scaffold and see the body of the scaffold is going to be a single child scroll view, because my whole page should be scrollable, because I'll have lots of widgets and this should be kind of responsive, right? So let's actually give a physics for the scroll view. I'm going to give scroll physics because I want to, of course, enable scrollability. And the child of the single child scroll view is going to be column. And in the column, we'll have multiple children, because we're going to use this column because we're going to have a vertical array of children. So let me just say children, and the first child is going to be actual header. So we're going to have a header named quotes app, and after that we'll have the categories navigator. So let's actually create a text widget and say quotes app, and let's give a style, and let's actually create a function for our style. So you already learned it in the previous sections that we're going to create a new function named my style. So let me just create a new file named utils.dart, where I'll just have all my utils. So in the utils I create a new function which returns a text style. So text style, and I'll just say my style or text style. So this is going to be a function, and this takes in a double size, and then I'm going to have optional parameters, a color, and also the font weight. Let me just close this Explorer bar so that you can see everything. So here we're going to return any font I want. So I'm going to just use the Montserrat font, so that's why I'm just using this. So I say Google Fonts dot Montserrat, and in there we will have the font size. So font size is just going to be size, and then I'm going to also have a color, and then I'm also going to have a font weight. So I'll just provide the parameters which I'm getting here, not this one, this one. So this should be good, and I can just use this function now. I can use this text style function in my home.dart. Here I can call the text style function, and I just have to provide the size, the font weight, and the color if I want. So I'll just provide the size. So I say 25 pixels, and then color, I'm going to just say colors.black, and the font weight is just going to be font weight .w700. So this should be good, and let's actually import this. Let's save everything and see if we have our text header. Taking some time because we wrote lots of new code without saving. There you go, quotes app, but it's kind of not aligned right. So I'm gonna I just want it aligned in the center here. So I'm gonna just wrap this into a container, and I'm gonna just give an alignment. I'm gonna say alignment is alignment.center, and also I want to have some margin from the top so that I can kind of see the text widget. So I'm going to say margin is edge insets dot only 60 pixels. That should be good. Not only, actually, yeah, only, but I have to say it from the top. Let's save everything, and now we should have our header. There you go, quotes app, but that's too much of margin, I guess. Let's say 50 maybe. Yeah, this should be good. Okay, we have our header. Now after the header, now we'll actually display the categories we have in our app, and depending on the category, the user can choose any category he wants, and he can just go to the category and view his quotes. So I'm going to create a list of categories because I don't want to write the individual buttons 4 times. So I'm going to have 4 categories, I guess. Yes, 4 categories, and let's actually create a list of categories. This list is going to contain strings. Let's name this categories. So I'm going to have, how much I'm going to have? Actually, I'm going to have 4 categories. Let's actually go to the website and make sure you name the categories depending on the header. So make sure you name it only love and no uppercases. Just name it love without any uppercases, because this is going to be important in the future. And I'll also say inspirational quote. So inspiration. The other tag is going to be life, and the other tag is going to be humor. And I'll just take these categories, and after this container, I'm going to actually have a grid view builder. So I'm going to have 4 buttons, actually 4 containers in a grid. That's why I'm going to have a grid view. So I'm going to call it grid view widget. So I'm going to say grid view.count, because I know how many children I have in my grid view. That's why I'm going to use a grid view.count. So cross axis count is going to be 2, because in the cross axis I have 2 widgets. And let's also say shrink wrap is true because we're in a single child scroll view. Let's actually align everything.
Yeah, I kind of want to align it. It's kind of not working. Maybe I have some errors. Oh, I didn't close it, that's why it was not working. Yeah, now it's aligned. So shrink wrap is true, and also we want to give some physics. I'm going to give never scrollable physics, because we have to give the shrink wrap true and physics never scrollable physics, because this is a scroll view, kind of a scroll view, and this is also a scroll view, single side scroll view. That's why Flutter gets confused between this widget and this widget and where to scroll. That's why here we have to give scroll physics, and here we have to say never scrollable scroll physics, so that or else we'll have some dex error or something like that. We'll have like no size error, I guess. Yeah, the error is called no size error. So to avoid that, we have to actually give shrink wrap is true and physics is never scrollable physics. And after that, we also want to say main axis spacing. So how much spacing? I'll just say 10 pixels, and also cross axis spacing, I'm also gonna go with 10 pixels. Now I have multiple children, so as I said, I don't want to create 4 individual containers and write the same code for 4 things, and eventually I just have to change the text, but we don't want to write so much of code, right? So as a children, I'm going to use a for loop, so that's why I'm going to map this categories list. So I'm going to say categories.map. So in a for loop, it will just iterate through this list and render out how many widgets are there. For example, if there are 4 elements in this list, then it's going to render out 4 widgets, and I can just use this to actually render out my widgets. So here I'm going to say .toList. So whenever we call the .map function, we actually have to say .toList, and here we can actually just name this category. We'll just get a category name, and in there we can actually return any widget we want. So I'm going to just return a container, and in the container I'm going to have a decoration. Because I want to give some colors, so I'm going to say box decoration. And for the box decoration, I also want to give a colors.pink, and also a border radius. So I'll say border radius.circular. 20 pixels should be good. Yeah, 20 pixels. And then in the child of this container is going to be actual category name, so the user knows which category we are. So the child is going to be text, but actually this is going to be the center, so I'll just wrap this into its center. And for the text widget, I'll say category name. Where is it? Category. So we're gonna actually get the category name, and I'm gonna just call it .to uppercase, because I want everything in the uppercase. And then I'm gonna give a style, and I'm gonna again use my style function. Where is it? Text style function. And the font size is going to be 20 pixels, and then the color is going to be colors.white, and let's actually make this kind of bold. Now when I save everything, I should actually see my categories. I'll have 4 pink containers. There you go: love, inspiration, life, and humor. So this kind of looks beautiful, but I just want to make this text a bit bigger, so I'll say 30 pixels for this text widget. For the quotes app, there you go, header. So we have the header, and then we also have these category names, and after these category names we'll actually have some quotes. But when I click on this category, I actually want to go to the quote screen and only get the love quotes. When I click on this, I want to get the inspirational quotes. When I click on this, I want to get the life quotes. Okay, so let's actually create a new screen named quotes page, where we'll have all the quotes for the categories. So I'll create a new file named quotes page. So I'll say quotes page.dart. Gonna import Flutter. I'm going to create a new stateful widget. The stateful widget is going to be quotes page, where I'll have desired quotes. Now the actual challenge is, how do we know which category we are? Like, how do we know on which category we clicked? That's why we're going to accept something here. So we're going to accept a parameter. So we have to pass in a parameter, just the quote, the category name. I'm going to just call it category name. And this is a final, so we have to initialize it. So I'll say quotes page this dot category name, and in this way, when we pass a category name, then we know actually on which category item we clicked. So we can work with that here. So I can just return a scaffold, And let's build out the UI for the quotes. So we're gonna have multiple quotes, but before that, let's actually give a background color. So I'm gonna say background color is colors.gray 200. So I'm gonna have a light gray. Then we also gonna have a single child scroll view. So I'm gonna say body is a single child scroll view because I want my page to be scrollable. And the child of this is going to be a column because I'll have elements beneath each other. I'm going to have multiple children's. Let's actually also give some physics here. Scroll physics. So I'm going to have multiple children. So the first child is going to be the text, like the header, and I can kind of copy it from here. I'm going to just copy this container from here, this header container, and let's just paste it here. And now we want to display the category name. So instead of saying quotes app, I want to say whichever category I clicked on. So for example, I clicked on this category, like this love category, then I want to show here love quotes. So I'm going to do string interpolation because I want to have a variable into a string. So I'm going to just use the $sign. And to get a parameter, we just call a widget dot category name because we're actually demanding a category name as a parameter here. And after that, I'm going to also say quotes. Let's import this. Let's save everything and let's actually see some UI update changes. So I want to actually see it. So when I click on this, I have to see something, right? So let's actually implement navigation. So I'm going to wrap this container into an inkwell so that I can have some on tap actions. I'll say on tap. Whenever the user clicks on this, I'm going to call it navigator. So I'm going to say navigator dot push context, and the root is going to be a material page root. And I'm going to pass in the context, and we're going to return whichever page we want to go. So we want to go to the quotes page. So I'll say quotes page. And we have to pass in the category name. So how do we know the category name? We are getting it here from the map function. So we can just use this category and put it over here. Do we have any error? No, we don't have any error. Let's save everything and we should see our quotes page. So when I click on this love thing, I should go to the page. There you go, love quotes. But again, I want to have everything in an uppercase. So let's say to uppercase. Yeah, there you go, love quotes. And after that, I'll have the card, like the actual card for displaying my quotes. So I'll have everything in a list view builder because I don't know how many quotes I'll get. So that's why I'm going to use a list view builder, which automatically builds the list depending on the item count. So everything is going to be dynamic and not hard coded because we don't know how many items we'll get, right? So after this container, I'm going to say list view.builder. And the item builder takes in a context and the index which the list view builder is currently in. So this is kind of like a for loop which just iterates over the list and displays the widgets. And this should also have shrink wrap true and physics should be never scrollable physics because we're already in a scroll view. That's why we have to disable the physics here. And the item count. So for now, let's say for now, actually not. I'm going to just say 4. I'm just going to hard code it, but later on I'll do it dynamically. Item count is 4 and let's return the actual card for displaying our quote. So I'm going to say return container. I'm going to have everything in a container. I'm going to give some padding. Edge insets.all 10 pixels, and also I'm going to say child of this is going to be a card because I want to kind of have that really cool elevation. That's why I'm going to use a card because for the card we have elevation, right? So I'll say elevation is 10. So we'll kind of have that cool drop shadow. So the child of this card is going to be a column because I'll have 2 elements beneath each other and I'll have multiple children. So the first child is going to be the quote. So text, let's say quote. I don't know, any random quote. Let's actually go to the page and get a random quote. It's better to be hated for what you are than to... Okay, let's just use this quote. Just paste it over here. So this is our quote and let's give some styling. let's use the text style function again, and we have to give the font size, the color, and the font weight. So the size is going to be 18 pixels, and the color is going to be a color.black, and the font weight is going to be font weight.w700. Let's format everything. And I didn't give any width and heights because they should actually calculate depending on the text. So I don't know how long my text will be, that's why I'm not giving any width and height values. It will automatically calculate it. And let's actually give another text. So after this text widget, I'll have another text widget with the author name. So author, let's say John Smith is the author of this quote, because in the website we also get the author name with the quote itself. See, after the quote we get by Andre. So okay, we get also the author name. And let's actually minimize the font size, let's say 15 pixels only. Let's save everything, and we should have our card with the quotes. There you go. It's better to be hated for what you are than to be loved for what you are not. This is the quote, and this is written by the author John Smith. So there are some problems. This kind of looks ugly because we don't have any padding, so it should kind of have some space, right? So let's wrap this into a padding and give some padding. So padding is edgeinsets.all or only. I'm going to just have only. From the top I'll have 20 pixels, from the left I'll have 20 pixels, and from the bottom I have 20 pixels. And I'm going to just do the same thing for the author also. I'm going to again say edgeinsets.only. This time from the bottom, because already here I'm saying bottom 20, right? So I don't have to give any padding here from the top, so I'll just say bottom is 10 pixels. Let's save everything, and we should kind of have some nice padding. And there you go, this looks much better. We have padding from the left side, from the top side, and from the right side, and from the bottom side. So this looks kind of good. And when I click on the inspirational thingy, there you go, inspiration quotes. When I click on this life thingy, there you go, life quotes, and everything is perfect. So yeah, that's it for the UI. Let's actually go and implement this scrapping functionality so that we scrap the actual quotes on the website and display it in our list view builder. Because now we just hard coded the quotes, right? But we all actually want to get the data from the website. So after we finish the UI of our application, let's actually implement the core functionality of our app. So the web scraping, let's actually go to the website and let's inspect the elements. So I'll click on inspect. Whenever we want to scrap, we have to go to developer tools. I'm just gonna disable this phone device. So let's say I want to scrap this quote. So how to do it? Let's select this, click on inspect again, and we should have a class name. So a class name is quote, and in that we have again a class name named text. And for the author, we have separate class name named author, I guess. There you go, class author. So this is the text is going to be for the quote, and the author class is for the author. So the main class is the quote class, and in that main class we have two subclasses, a text class for the quote and an author class for the author name. And we can just use this. So when do we want to scrap the data? We want to scrap the data whenever we enter this page, right? So we'll do it in init state function. So I'm going to call it init state from Flutter, and in the init state we're going to call a function named get data or get quotes. I'm going to just create this function. So I'm going to just take this, I'm going to create that function, and let's actually get the URL of this love quotes. So whenever we click on this love category, I want to go to the love URL. So in this case, it's this. Let's take this URL. Let's click on inspect again and go to the developer tools. So let's put in the URL. I'm going to say string URL. And this is the actual URL, but there is a problem because in this case I clicked on the love category, but I won't click on the love category every time, right? Because there are also other categories. So that's why I use this parameter. I can again use this parameter. I can do a string interpolation. I have to do it here. Instead of saying love, I can use a string interpolation because I'm going to put a variable into a string. And I can again say widget.category name, whichever category name I passed into this widget. So when I click on inspiration I think, then it's going to go to the inspiration URL, and I'm going to get the quotes from that URL. So whenever we have a URL, we want to actually make a response to the URL. So let's actually also import some packages. So I'm going to import a package, HTTP package as HTTP. Going to take this and I'm going to have a response to that website. So I'm going to say http.response data type, and I'm going to just call a variable response, and I'm going to say http.get. This is a get request because I'm getting the data and I have to pass in the URL. The URL is URL, but again the problem is this is and future. So there you go, we have an error. A value of type future response can't be assigned to a variable of type response. So it means it takes some time to make a get request, because of course it has to communicate to your website, right? That's why we have to wrap this in an async function, and we have to await this, and then we'll have a normal response data type. The URL, we have a problem with the URL. So yeah, I forgot to say, whenever we're using this get request thing, we have to actually say URI.parse, right? I just forgot it. Let's do it here. So I'm going to say URI is going to be URI.parse, and I have to pass in the URL. So I'm going to just pass in this URL here. I can take this URI and put it over here. Now we won't get any errors. So after making a response to that website, we want to actually parse that response. So this is a response, but I want to parse the response. So I'm going to use the document which is provided by the parser, but I have to import it again. So let's go up and let's import the two main packages for parsing or for web scraping. So in the HTML package, we have the dom.dart, and I'm going to just import it as dom. And also we have a parser. So I'm going to say import parser in the HTML package. There's something called parser.dart as parser. And I'm going to use this on here. I'm going to say document. So this document here, dom.document, and I'm going to just name the variable document. And now let's actually parse the whole website. So I'm going to say parser with the parser package dot parse, and we have to pass in a response. So I'll say response, and I actually have to pass in the body of the response. So I'm going to say response.body. In this way, I parse the whole website. Now it knows in which classes it should search. So I'm going to say final quotes class is go to the document and get an element named quote. So I'm going to say dot get elements by class name, because we can parse with the ID, but we can also parse with the class. So I'm going to just inspect this again, and we got the class name quote, right? So go to the quote first of all. So I'm going to say get element by class name named quote, and then we'll get the quotes class, and in that quotes class we'll actually see something. Let me just print out the whole quotes class. It will be lists of quotes. Let's open up the terminal and see the data which we get. So let's go back and come back again, because this should run in the in-state function. So when I click on this, it will take some time, but it will parse it. There you go. I have a list of quotes. So I have a list of HTML divs, and in that HTML divs, I have the actual data again. So again, I have to parse that classes. So again, I have to get the elements by class name, because as I said, this quotes class is the actual main class, but in that class again, we have subclasses. One is the text and one is the quotes. So to get the text of this, for example, if I want to get the text of the first quote, I can just go to this quotes class is actually a list. So I can just go to the list. So I can say quotes class. Let's get the first index for now. And I'm going to say dot again get elements by class name, because this is an HTML div, and in there I'm going to search for a class name named text. Let's print that out. Let's come back again. Take some time, and there you go, HTML span. So again, it provides us a list because we have to parse the list. So we have to go to the list and get the first index, and to get the actual data of it, we have to call a dot inner HTML. property. So when I save this, now we'll have the actual code. See, when I click on this love one, there you go. And now I have the actual code. That means yes, our web scraping is working, but again, we're actually only getting the first quote. We also want to get the other quotes, right? So I'm going to create a list of quotes. I'm going to just have an empty list at the beginning, and then I'm going to run a for loop which is going to iterate over each element in this quotes class list. So I'm going to say for int I is equal to 0, I is smaller than quotes class dot length I plus plus, and then I'm going to say quotes class dot, no, we have to actually say quotes dot add, right? So I'm going to just add the element to it. So I'm going to say quotes dot add, and I'm going to go to the quotes class, and that's why I ran this for loop to get the index. So depending on the index, so just get the index. So I'm going to say I dot get elements by class name with this text, and then I'm going to go there, and this text just provides us one HTML span, so I can just use the first index, and then I'm going to just call it dot inner HTML. So this should actually work, and let's at last print out the quotes list which we created here. Let's save everything, and we should have our quotes list. Now we'll have all our quotes, not only one quote. There you go. Now I have a list of multiple quotes. So here I have, it's better to be hated for what you have done to be loved city. I have different types of quotes in a list. So how I did it, I got a list named quotes class, and then I had multiple HTML divs, and again I had to run a for loop. I had to iterate over that list and get the class name with the text, and then get the inner HTML. But there is another trick to do it. We don't have to run a for loop. We can just use the map function. So I can also say quotes list is equal to main quotes class. I can just use a map method here. I can just use this because this is actually also going to iterate over that list. I am going to say elements. So this I'm going to just say element. This is just going to provide the current element. So I can again say element dot get elements by class name, and I can just say text, and it's going to actually do the same thing as the for loop but with less amount of code. And there is a problem, we have to call it dot to list. As I said, whenever we call this dot map, we have to call it dot to list. I can just delete this for loop, and now when I print out the quotes, I'll have the same result but with less amount of code and also cleaner code. I don't want to have a for loop, so that's why I just created a dot map. It just looks better and doesn't take so much of time to create that for loop. When I click on inspiration, there you go. Okay, for the inspiration I only have one quote, it seems. For the love I have more quotes. There you go. For love I have more quotes in a list. So that's it for the quotes, but we also want to get the author, right? So let's go to the website again, and we'll have a span class text, span class author. So let's take this author, and this is pretty much the same thing as the text. So I'm again going to create a new list named authors. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say authors is equal to, I'm going to again use this dot map instead of doing with the for loop. I'm going to say quotes class dot map. I'm going to just copy this, I guess. Yeah, I'll just copy this. And instead of saying dot elements by class name, this time the class name is an author. And this will also return as a span because here it is wrapped in a span. And in that span we'll get the first index because this is actually just a one list item, and then we'll get the inner HTML. Let's actually print out the quotes and the authors. No, let's actually just print out the authors for now because we already printed out the quotes, right? So it won't be filled. So on the terminal we'll have everything cleaner. Let's come back again to this page. Let me just clear everything from the terminal. Let's come back again and we'll have all the authors. There you go, all the authors. from the love quotes section. So yeah, that's it. Actually, pretty much we are almost finished scrapping the data. Actually, we are finished scrapping the data, but we scrapped the data. Now let's actually show it on the UI. So after scrapping the data, I want to actually set the state, because the list should actually know that something has been updated. So I'm going to just set state, and let me just create a new variable. I'm going to just use a bool variable named is data there. So I'll just put it as false. At the beginning it's going to be false because the data is not there, but after doing everything I'm going to set it back to true. So I'll show you why I'm doing it with this variable. Is data there is going to be true. I'm doing this because I can use this bool variable to show a circular progress indicator. So in the body, depending on the state, so when the data there variable is false, that means the data is not there. Then in the center I show a circular progress indicator, that means yes, we're getting data, please wait for a second. Or else, so when it is data there variable is true, then we show the whole column, and when it is true whenever we get the data. So we'll just initialize the list, and then only we set the is state there variable to true. So let me just show you how it works. Let's come back to this page and let's put this in the center. I want to kind of put it in the center, so I'm not going to use a single child scroll view. I guess I'll just do it up there. Sorry for this, but I'll just do this up there. Instead of showing a single child scroll view, I'll say if they state that their variable is false, then in the center show a circular progress indicator, but if it is true, then show the single child scroll view with the quotes. Circular progress indicator, or else show the single child scroll view. So this time they should. So when I click on the love category, there you go, I have a circular progress indicator. Then after a while, when I get the data back, the circular progress indicator goes away, and we'll have the single child scroll view with all the quotes. But again, we got the quotes, but we're not showing it on the UI. So let's do it. So we have all the quotes stored in this list, and we can just use this. So in the list view builder, now we can see how many items we have. So I can just say quotes.length, because I want to have dynamically. Depending on the length of the quotes, it will just build out this list view.builder. And instead of hard coding the quote here, I can say go to the quotes list and get the quote with the current index. So in which index the list view builder is currently there. And with the author, it's the same thing. I can just say authors, then get with the current index. Now you will see all the quotes. There you go. It is better to be hated. This is the first quote with the author name. This is the second quote, a really big quote with the author name. The third quote, the fourth quote, and so on. So we have lots and lots of quotes, and this is pretty much it for this category page. So this also works with the other categories. When I click on this inspiration page, and there you go, I have only one inspiration quote. So that's kind of weird. Let's go to the website and see if we really have only one. No, we have multiple quotes, but there seems to be an error. So we have lots of quotes with a text, but I don't know why it's only scrapping one quote. This is kind of weird. Let's actually go to the humor thing and let's see if we have more quotes there. Yeah, there you go, we have more quotes here. It just depends on the website URL. Maybe there's something wrong with their HTML tags, but for the other one we have all the quotes. So with the other one, everything is perfectly working, but just for the humor, like just for the inspiration, we just have one quote. So I think I kind of know what the problem is, because we said inspiration, but we have to actually say inspirational. I think that's the problem. So let's go to home.dot. Yeah, okay, we said inspiration, we have to say inspirational. That's a pretty silly mistake. Let me just do a full restart, because it should actually render it in a full restart. And after doing a full restart, there you go, I have a new category name, inspirational. I just said inspiration, but it was actually inspirational. Let's click on this category and we should have more quotes now. And there you go, yes, we have more quotes. That means yes, this is also working perfectly. We just had a typo, I just forgot. It is actually inspirational, not inspiration. There you go, we have now all the quotes for the inspirational thing. So that's it for the categories page. Now the last thing we want to implement is we also want to get the home page quotes. So in the home page we also have lots of quotes, right? And these quotes will show it down here. So okay, now let's get the quotes for the home page. So this is actually pretty much the same technique as we did it for the quotes page. We just have to, let's actually just copy some code. So let's actually copy this imports. Let's just paste it over here and let's create two lists. Yeah, it's actually pretty much the same thing as we did it here. Let's actually just copy everything from here. So when you want to get the quotes, you want to get it in instead function. That's why I'm just copying it also here for the home page. And there's only one thing we have to change. First of all, the URL we have to change. Actually, only we have to just change the URL. Let's take this URL and paste it over here and not with the tags URL. So now after getting the quotes, so we'll get the quotes and we can again just copy this list view builder, and after the grid count, so a grid view count, let's give some spacing. So I'll just say size box, height 20, and then I'll have a list view builder. And now again I can use this is data there variable to show a circular progress indicator when the data is not there. So I'm going to say is data there is false, then in the center show a circular progress indicator, but if it is true then show the list with the results. So yeah, now it's going to show this, but let me just also give some more spacing. Now it's going to show the circular progress indicator because we are never running the instead function. So let's do a full restart and check out, because then we'll enter our page and we'll have all our quotes also for the next time. There you go, I have my quotes. So after a while it did a full restart and I got the quotes. And let's actually minimize the spacing again. Let's, okay, 20 pixels should be good, 40 pixels too much. And now we'll have all the home page quotes here. So these are just example quotes from the home page, and the user can also read the quotes from here. So when he wants, he can go to the categories, but if he wants, he can also read the quotes here. But let's say he wants live quotes, and he can go to this category, and there you go, we'll have all the quotes. So let's actually review what we did. So we actually created a header quotes app, then we created a UI for the categories love, inspirational, life and humor. Then we went to the quotes page. So we went to the quotes page, we again built the UI with the quotes cards, and then we actually made a response to that website. Then we parsed the whole website with the documents, and we then search for the class names, and depending on the class name we updated our quotes list and authors list. And with that list, so with the values from that list, we rendered out our UI in a list view.builder. And if you want to just explore this package more, there are obviously just more things. You can also say dot href dot attribute spans to get the hrefs and so on, dot id dot classes. You can just like do lots of things with this package if you want to just explore this package. And you can also just search by id names, not only by class names. You can also search by tag names. And that's it for this section. I hope you enjoyed this section, and let me just see you in the next section.